Hello, teacher Sergio. It's a pleasure to be here today explaining and showing this design, this affordable task in which I'm going to explain the design and implementation or for the implementation of a learning experience for an English class, following all the steps and all the requirements done in your subject this second semester. So let's go for it and welcome. Okay, as it says in here, that is that by means of this proposal, we could just like get into the explanation and the setting up of this learning experience plan in order to provide some strategies for the students and a specific population of students that are immersed in virtual learning environments with a specific characteristic. These are students that need to improve their English level for professional issues. How? Helping them to improve their lexical skills. Well, as I have established in the previous slide, there is a specific population, and this population has a very interesting profile. So, as you can see here, my sample is taken or is confirmed by 6 students aged 28 to 33 years old between. All of them are professionals or people that have already passed through an university and nowadays they have a current work specialized in the things that they have already studied. Specifically, they are professionals in economy and education fields. This means a pair of students are working this moment as managers of specific products or processes, and another couple of them are working as teachers from chemistry, physics, and another fields. What's the thing that they need to study in order to reach labor benefits, in order to improve their professional status, and also trying to reach or obtain more profitable jobs in the near future? All of them are responsible, are committed. Yeah, they are self-centered and very, very worried about his and her studies. And based on a previous um, placement test that I have applied with them, I could notice or I could identify that they have an English level proficiency between A2 and B1 based on the Common European Framework, but the thing is going to be explained later on. But well, why do I expect for them? What do I expect from that population? Based on our planning, there must be some learning expected outcomes, o sea, it says in Spanish, de RAE, or resultados de aprendizaje esperados. That's the thing. Well, I have based these learning expected outcomes by means of the following: identify, learn, contextualize, and apply. As I said before, based on their needs. In the first one, for identifying, it is like the first encounter that students have with the words or the lexicon required. Learning is that process of exploration, acquirement, and appropriation of the lexical unit. For contextualize is that process that the students do when they start like joining and reflecting about the use of these new words, uh, specifically in their fields. And finally, they must apply by means of use directly these words, these expressions, these chunks, idioms, and more in their current jobs or in their current lives specifically. Uh, that's what they need. Specifically for this research or for this learning experience applying stuff, there must be some means of development and implementation. All the process is going to be carried out by means of a virtual environment, a 100% virtual environment that it's going to be mediated or supported by some educative communication platforms such as Teams, um, also complementing by some digital contents and resources taken from another ones that you already know, such as Canva, Genially, how to in YouTube and more. Okay. Based on this, the idea is that the students, will be conscious about the importance of the application of the English lexicon in their jobs. Okay. Well, so connecting this, in which what I have explained a couple of slides before, the idea is that these students could reach a specific level of performance by using the vocabulary learned. Well, all of this is supported by the Common European Framework of Reference. Remember that this is like the entity that supports, explain, and guide all this process of learning not only English or and other languages around the world by some specific requirements, some specific scales, and descriptors. Eh, as I said before, these students have been placed between an A2 and B1 level of proficiency. But the idea is that after performing or completing the learning experiences, they could reach B2 or if possible C1, right? Eh, keeping this in mind, B2, that is that our students must have a sufficient range of language to be able to give clear descriptions, to express viewpoints on most general topics for their needs, specifically about their professional fields, and also without much conspicuous searching for words, using complex sentences, and also forms to do the thing. Okay? And if it is possible for them to reach the proficient level, that is the C1, they must show or they must evidence that they have a good command of broad range of language, allowing him or her to select a formulation to express clearly in appropriate styles, in a wide range of general, academic, and by their needs, a professional or leisure way. Just communication, but also applying in a specific context. So, well, how are we going to apply this? How are we going to organize all this stuff? Um, I have organized on a schedule based on some moments that are going to be synchronous and another ones that are going to be asynchronous. Remember, there are 5 students that have been chosen for this specific process, for this specific design. And if you can see in here, from the 5 students, in this case subjects, that I have called them in this way, I have a specific schedule from a Monday to Saturday. There are the days in which I could interact with them. So if you see the green charts, are the moments in which I'm going to be with them in a synchronous way. Specific moments in which I'm going to guide a lesson, I'm going to explain what they need, I'm going to explain what has been planned before. And the red charts are these moments, also days chosen by the same students in where they are going like to work on their own. They are going like to be doing all the complementary things, the complementary activities or experiences that I'm going to share with them for them to improve, for them to contribute to the learning process themselves. So, explaining in other words, 50% of the process is going to be carried out by the synchronous way. Another 50% is going to be done by an asynchronous way. Well, after knowing the schedule in which students are going to develop their synchronous and asynchronous lessons, it is time for us to know the method planning or those micro actions that students are going to develop also in order to reach their goals. Well, you know the goal, learning vocabulary to be applied in context. These 5 micro actions have been named in this way. First, identifying, second, exploring, 3, describing, 4, developing, and the 5th one, performing. This is like the step by step that the students must accomplish in order to show by the end that they have reached the goal to learn that new vocabulary. Well, after naming these micro actions, how are them going to be applied? So in here, I'm going to present now the specific schedule of November, and it is going to be applied all the situation. If you see here, there are like the images of this method or these micro activities that are going to be applied in order for students to do these things. In the first week, starting Tuesday the 1st until Saturday the 5th, that is that the students are going to develop a vocabulary and expressions interactivity. Yeah, it is like going to be the introductory part of the process. Yeah, for them to identify the words. Then from November the 7th to 12th, there is the activity called Office and Job Situations that it is going to be developed by means of a video analysis. And this belongs to the listening skills stuff for them to explore. This is the exploring part for students. The third week, What's in My Office, is a description game. The opportunity for them like to start like expressing, speaking. This is like the description part that has been mentioned in the previous slide. The week number 4, it's a little bit more complex, a day in the office, and it's a narrative by means of a writing composition. Yeah, it is the moment for them like to start now showing what they have acquired and the part in which they're going to like to start like putting in ground more in specific the things that they have previously gathered. And finally, the final project or the final learning experience is going to be what I do at job. It's the moment for them to perform, to show all the process after learning, after identifying, after recognizing, after socializing. That is like the biggest part or the bottom of the things that we need for them. Well, we're reaching the end almost for this presentation. Now I'm going to pass to explain the assessment part of the assessment process that um, is divided into four mains: progress, co-assessment, demonstration, and cooperation. Yes, I know that these terms have been so well known in the meso design, but I consider them important for like the shaping or the closure of this process. But how do I know or how we can evidence that these things are happening in this way? Well, for the progress, the evidence of actions or activities that support the learning expected outcomes. The progressive learning system that allows the development of the skills. As you have seen during this presentation, you know that everything is like a chain, everything is connected and has like a step-by-step situation. The co-assessment, but in this case, taking into consideration the population profile, that co-assessment is more guided by the teacher or more supported by the teacher. It relies on the teacher more than another person or another classmate. The design allows a formative assessment process, guided in this case by me. It is possible to share new knowledge acquired, both students and teacher in this case, and the synchronous lessons allow learning strategies to be applied for them to perform. In the part of the demonstration, the introduction and development of the design evidences the expected achievement of abilities. It is not the same as we started with them, the process, and how are they going to finish them. There is evidence of accurate and useful feedback. It is implied into the same process. How I am going to guide these explanations, how I'm going to guide this assessment, formative and summative both. And finally, the cooperation. Again, the digital resources allow collaborative tasks, yes, possibly not with a direct person, but also, forums, discussions, opinions, social media, these kind of things. It is possible to share knowledge and experiences with the teacher or classmates. Yeah, as I said before, for this case applies more the interaction with teacher more than another student because all the students are isolated, they have different processes, but everything just converges of the same stuff by the end. That is using learning and using a vocabulary in a specific context. Well, in this final part, I have just shared with you some sample sources that have been designed from other lessons that have been taken from another lessons, but by the end it is like the same proposal that I have for this topic, that in this case is vocabulary related to the office and job situations. So If you can, just click on them and check what they have. Okay, teacher, we have already reached the end. We have already come just to the final part of this presentation. Hope that you have enjoyed it, that all the things explaining here could be clear for you. And nothing more to say. Let's have a great learning experience. Hope you like it. Bye. In the final slide, you can find my contact data. Kind regards.